The Chinese have a saying, where there is danger, there's opportunity. And if President Trump does not back down on his tariff threats or find a way out of this ridiculous situation, that saying will become very real. The next few months could prove extremely dangerous but full of opportunities for the Chinese. America's crazy trade war with China makes the seizure of Taiwan far more likely than it was 2 weeks ago. Chinese President Xi Jinping could launch a full-scale invasion of Taiwan with the rest of the world unable to do anything about it. And yesterday came the news that 2 Chinese soldiers were arrested while fighting for the Russians in eastern Ukraine. They could just be 2 individuals. That would be embarrassing for the Chinese. But if they turn out to be part of a bigger group of Chinese fighters operating on orders from Beijing, that would complicate the whole triangular relationship between China, Russia, and the U.S. Complete disaster. China would have crossed a line, and we will have to wait to see what President Trump thinks about that. With his 104% tariffs on goods from China, which start today, he is deliberately breaking an economic system that has existed since 1946. Instead of reforming it, he is decoupling the 2 biggest and most mutually dependent economies in the world. They both need each other in all sorts of ways, but President Trump must have known that the Chinese would hit back and that their retaliation could cause an economic crisis in the U.S. In an atmosphere of crisis in 1930, America resorted to extreme protectionism. Back then, the U.S. economy was genuinely sick, but protecting American business was a complete disaster for both the U.S. and the rest of the world. Fascism in Italy and Germany grew on the back of it. This time, despite what President Trump says, America's economy is actually pretty healthy and has been performing well within the existing global system. So this is an act of self-harm. Apart from the dreamers in the White House, everyone from business to much of Congress knows that if they stick with these insane tariff levels for 6 or 8 months, the American economy will be in serious trouble. Even if Trump blinks first and reduces tariffs soon, they are never going to go back down to near zero. So the American economy could still be badly affected, sparking a constitutional crisis in Washington. That would give the Chinese a wonderful opening to achieve their aims elsewhere, in Africa, Asia, and South America, but particularly in the South China Sea and Taiwan. The Chinese are already operating what I call the anaconda strategy, squeezing Taiwan with more and more military exercises right around the bordering seas. They are even coming across the median line that should keep the 2 countries apart, right up to Taiwan's legal territorial waters. China's aircraft carrier, the Shandong, has been on maneuvers there in the most recent show of force. They are coming very close to violating Taiwan's airspace with regular overflights, all the time increasing the pressure on the island militarily. As a result of Trump's trade war, China's message to the Taiwanese is, you can't trust America. Why do you put your faith in these guys? Make a peaceful deal with us while you still can. Because America's influence everywhere, built up over 80 years, is draining away. And if the U.S. is going to be plunged into a crisis for the next 2 or 3 years because of Trump's tariffs, it gives Beijing the opportunity to strike against Taiwan. China's President Xi Jinping has always said that he wanted to solve the Taiwan issue by the end of his 3rd term in 2027. With the rest of the world now thinking that the Trump administration is a completely unreliable ally, Xi may feel that maybe 2025 is his moment. Everyone will express anger and so on. But if the Chinese decide to try to take Taiwan, they will take it. It wouldn't be absolutely straightforward because a big amphibious operation across 100 miles of sea is not easy. But if Taiwan decided to fight, there would certainly be a nasty conflict and Taiwan would almost certainly lose, unless the Americans helped them quickly. Huge gamble. And who knows if they would in present circumstances. It would be a huge gamble by the Chinese. They would see it as a danger, and also as their once-in-a-generation opportunity if they also believe President Trump does not really care about Taiwan. He cares, as does everybody else, about the TSMC, the Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, which produces all of the best computer chips for the rest of the world. But he has made it clear he really doesn't care about Taiwan as an independent democratic state or as a staunch Western ally. The word is, Trump has made it clear to the Chinese that if he reached some grand bargain with Beijing that was better for America, he would stand aside and let them absorb Taiwan.